An Arizona GOPer is advocating for some gun control, but of course there's a little twist to this story. Now, during the Democratic debate, of course, the question of gun control did come up, and this individual, this very questionable individual by the name of Randy Pullen, who used to be the Arizona Republican Party's chairman, or chair I should say, came out and said, you know what, maybe we should do something about gun control. Here's what he tweeted. Yes, Black Lives Matter. The best way to end the slaughter of young black men is to take guns away from blacks, as they are the main killers. So he's making a point about black on black crime, which I find really interesting because if you look at the data, is black on black crime an issue? Yes. Is white on white crime an issue? Yes.
She wore her itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. Anna, you simplistic little olive woman. Why did you just bring up white people? Why? Answer the question. The tweet that you just referenced. First of all, let me back up. The Young Turks just did a video on a nobody, on a retired Republican nobody from Arizona, on a tweet. So some old guy that nobody has ever heard of made a tweet, and they're doing a video on it. Why? Because it suits their agenda of fuck white people, let's protect the blacks, because we are the olive and brown post-racial saviors of America. Now keep in mind, they have not done a story on the dozens of attacks from Palestinians in Israel this week. They did not do a story on the bloodbath in Chicago where black people shot and killed dozens within that city. They did not do a video on the bomb in Turkey that killed over 100 people and what is being called the 9/11 for Turkey. No, they didn't do a story on any of that. Instead, they did a story about this. Now, what does Anna do? What is her inclination when people are talking about black crime? Where does her mind race to? This nose job decides to freak out and start talking about white. So here's how it goes. This nose job hears somebody talking critically about black people, and not even really, just saying black people commit a lot of crime. And what does she think to do? She thinks, let's drag the fucking whites down. Let's talk about white crime. And you can't get a more perfect example of what they do with false equations. So if she says black on black crime, is it an issue? Yes. White on white crime, is that an issue? Yes. And then she leaves it there. Well, she doesn't. I mean, she'll continue, and I'll get to that. But by saying that, she is implying, as clear as day, that these two issues are comparable. These two things occur in equal number. One's a problem, the other's a problem. We have a false equation. We have taken the spotlight off of black people. We have dragged white people down. So this is like saying AIDS is a problem. Hangnails is a problem. Okay, so don't keep talking about AIDS and HIV, stop with that. Hangnails problem, AIDS problem.
Is mass shootings a big problem in the country? Yes, but mass shootings are usually done by white men, not by black men.
And now she decides a little extra kick in the nuts for white men. So let's take a look at this graph. I assume it's correct. It's talking about the race of mass shooters in the United States from 1982 to 2013. And what do we have? We have 44 cases of white people doing it, 11 cases of black, 6 of Asian, 4 of Latino, and 1 Native American went berserk. Okay, and so she has the gall, has the intellectual audacity to say that mass shooters is a white problem. That's mostly white people. Anna, are you aware of numbers? Anna, there are almost 6 times the number of white people in America than there are black. So this chart shows us that per capita, this is more of a black issue than a white issue. You just brought up a topic which you thought was going to end up by saying, yes, fuck white people are a problem. And it ended up showing that white people are not a problem, and it's black people that are a problem when it comes to mass shooting. Because these 11 cases, if you multiply it by the 6, which you would have to do to make this a relevant number, it shows that they are doing it more often per capita than white people are, as the numbers indicate. This CNN article references that study, and it says that white people committed 64% of the shootings, whereas black people committed 16% of the shootings. As you know, black people make up 13.2% of the country. And depending on whether or not you lump in Hispanics, white people make up to 78% or in the low 60s. So the number of white mass shooters is absolutely in line with what you would expect it to be. The number of black mass shooters is more than what it should or what you would expect it to be. And mass shooting is an extremely rare phenomenon. We are talking about 67 cases in the last 30 years. What is far more common is shootings, just regular old shootings, like the kind we see every goddamn day. Here's the graph from New York City, broken down by race, just on the topic of shootings, just so you get an idea of what we're talking about here. And no, this graph is not per capita. Now, you look at this chart and let me tell you the population. White people in New York City, 2.7 million whites in New York. Blacks in New York, 1.8. So they almost have 1 million less people. They have 33% fewer people than whites, and they're still doing this.
Anyway, let me give you some numbers. When it comes to white-on-white crime, and this is according to FBI data dating back to 2012.
And now watch Anna Kasparian literally insult our intelligence by quoting statistics, raw data, on how many whites killed other whites versus how many blacks killed other blacks. In a country where she's referencing a stat that includes Hispanics, by the way. So it's a 78% chunk of humanity versus a 13% chunk. And she's just doing a straight up comparison. And the numbers are dead even. Fucking stupid, Anna. Oh, it's fucking stupid, Anna.
There were about 2,614 individuals shot and killed by, killed by white people. White people killing white people. When it comes to black-on-black crime, 2,412 people killed because of black-on-black crime. Again, this is FBI data indicating that more people have died because of white-on-white crime as opposed to black-on-black crime.
Oh, God. That is so damn embarrassing. Now watch Cenk try to mention. He knows that there are intelligent people that are not going to buy that level of propaganda. So watch Cenk throw out a little caveat saying, well, we know that there's something called per capita. He's not going to take it far enough, though. He's not going to say, what Anna just said is absolutely worthless. It's absolutely fucking shameful that she tried to pawn that off on us as a legitimate stat. Watch where he takes this.
Crime.
So now let's delve into that a little further. We know that per capita that is still a worse percentage for African Americans.
Worse? It's 6 times as worse. You're talking about a number of 78% compared to 13%, and they're killing the exact same number, within a couple hundred. Both very close. So multiply it by fucking 6, and then you get an accurate assessment as to which demographic is shooting people. It's a goddamn outrage.
But also, given the socioeconomic status of African Americans in this country, then it becomes a little bit more proportionate.
Now, what in the fuck did he just say? Do you guys hear that? I'm going to play it for you again. He just said, look, we understand there's per capita. So in other words, he's not going to talk about how much per capita, that it's 6 times worse. He's not going to reference this chart. No, he's going to reference socioeconomics, a frigging meaningless term, a buzzword that has no significance whatsoever. Wait, these murders don't count now because of socioeconomics? Because you said a word? Because they're poor? What are we supposed to not think of these as murders now? They're poor murders. They're purders. I mean, what is the difference, Cenk? It's murder. Murder is murder. Listen to what he said.
We know that per capita that is still a worse percentage for African Americans, but also given the socioeconomic status of African Americans in this country, then it becomes a little bit more proportionate.
How in the fuck does he think this is a point? Given the socioeconomic status of African Americans in this country, then it becomes more proportionate? How? How is it more proportionate? Is he implying that we should subtract the poor people from this number? So in other words, if you remove, I literally don't understand where he even thinks this is a point. So wait a minute, if you only count the rich black people, what? What the fuck are you talking about? This is literally just him pressing the button of socioeconomics. Let me just mention that black people are poor right now. So, kazam, ta-dow, abracadabra, the murder stats are now equal, or in his words, more proportionate. Why? Because black people socioeconomics. Here, let me do the little tap dance for you. Here's how it goes. It's like, think of it as a frog jumping from one lily pad to another. I say black people commit a shit ton of murder. He says socioeconomics. The reason for that is racism. The reason for racism is slavery. And let's finish with fuck white people, it's your fault. That is the little fat lily pad frog dance that you just witnessed. So this graph, look at this, the shootings in New York in 2014. If you consider, I'm going to say it and just try to make sense of this. If you consider the socioeconomics of the black people that committed these shootings, this graph now becomes proportionate. Only in your mind, Jank, only in your mind. No, in reality, there are dead bodies that are rotting under the ground or have been cremated that are not coming back because these black people killed them at a rate which is 6 times higher than white people. In other words, they are a vastly larger problem when it comes to A, shootings, B, crime. Captain Obvious to the rescue.
But if you care about lives being saved and you're all emotional about, I want to save the black lives, so I want to make sure I take guns away from black people so they don't shoot each other, right? Well, you would be just as passionate, if not more passionate, about more white people that are being killed. Yeah, there's more white people in the country, but there are more white people being killed. Shouldn't you be as passionate about that? Right?
Oh, Jank, funny you should bring that up. Because one of the major themes on your channel is police brutality against black people. That is your theme. You have race baited and race hustled and said fuck white people and fuck the cops at every turn. And yet, it's interesting because cops kill more white people than they do black people. Here's an article from the Washington Times, which says that based on the data, roughly 49% of those killed by officers from 2013 to 2015 were white, while 30% were black. He also found that 19% were Hispanic and 2% Asian. So 49% killed by police officers were white compared to 30% black? Jank, shouldn't you be doing videos about cops killing white people? This is a phenomenon that's happening more. I mean, there are more white people in the country, yes, but don't you care about the white lives being taken by cops? This is a more frequent occurrence. Not per capita, but then again, white people are not antagonizing cops as much per capita because white people don't commit as much crime as blacks per capita, and it's not even fucking close.
And this is where it gets interesting. So now when it comes to white people, NRA says the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Now watch the conflation here. Watch what he does here. This is a little jujitsu fuck white people gymnastic routine. Now, look at this face. Look at that fucking sinister Middle Eastern face right there. Ugh! Fucking A. So he just quoted the NRA saying the only thing that can stop a bad person with a gun is a good person with a gun. That's an NRA talking point. Now he's basically saying the NRA is white.